So tonight's shir is checking for bugs, part 2. This one is kind of like the practical side of checking for bugs. In the shir tonight, we learned that there are 3 different categories. There are certain vegetables, fruits that are muchsak b'tolayim. There are certain, which is like that they're infested. We know that 50% or more are infested. We know there's some which are mute hamatzui, that we're talking about in the range of 5 to 10% that are infested. And you need to check in both those categories. And then there's what we call naki, those which we assume to be okay. I found this year to be complicated, and also there's like a lot of charts to look at. So what I did was, to help make just some practical thing, was I listened to a 2-hour podcast by Rav David Lichtenstein today, this morning, because I also had my 3 kids with me, so I need to do something that I could listen to a year while also doing all the things I need to do for childcare. So I'm going to summarize some of the interviews I heard on David Lichtenstein's shir, and hopefully we'll have some practical takeaways. In the end, you're still going to have to check the charts, and you'll do as follows. But I will share some of the insights I thought were very interesting. The first person interviewed was Rav Feinstein's son. I'm pretty sure it was Rav Ruvain, but it could have been Rav David. I missed the beginning. And basically, Rav David was first talking, Feinstein, one of the sons. I don't remember who it was. They're both Talmid Chachamim and Gedolim. So Rav Feinstein said that he was asked, what happens if you see a dark speck? You see something on, let's say your lettuce, you see something on your vegetable, and it's not nir le'inayim. You just know you see a dark speck. You cannot see if it is actually a bug or not. Rav Feinstein said, in that case, so you could basically, he said he was nota to be meko. That if it's just a black speck, and to the naked eye, someone with proper eyesight, 20/20 vision, it just looks like a speck, you could eat it. He said if someone were then to come take a microscope or a magnifying glass and put it over the black speck, and now you can see the shape of legs or wings or something coming off, and now based on seeing it through the microscope, you look back with the naked eye, and now you can at least see something beyond just a speck. You can see almost like the detail, the outline of a bug. He said even in that case, it wasn't clear to him if it would be usher. He said it'd still be probably nota. His point was, back in the day in the Alter Haim, this is the question that David asked every interviewee, is back in the Alter Haim, we don't have a precedent of the same amount of checking that is required by the kashrus agencies today. There are 2 major approaches to this. So the one major approach is that, well, back in the day they had what's it called, DDT. So back in the day, DDT happened, and that eliminated most of the shilas. But that's really true only for store-bought food. There was another interview later in the podcast with an Eina Kalach, a grandchild of Rabbi Kamenetsky, Yaakov Kamenetsky, and she recalls that they would spend their summers in the bungalow, and the kids would go out and they would find blueberries and strawberries in the forest, and they would pick them, and it was like the treat of Shabbos. Shalosh Shudah. She remembers that they ate strawberries in Rav Yaakov's home in the bungalow, and Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky really enjoyed the strawberries, and they did not peel the strawberries, as one of the Hasidic interviewees suggested one needs to peel their strawberries. They did not mention that. And so essentially what David Lichtenstein was trying to argue, and again, he's not a posek, but I think he really knows more than most of us, so that he was kind of saying that there seemed to be a precedent back in the day that if you can't see it, so then you don't have to go, that if a proper eyesight cannot see it, then you don't have to go super crazy. So that seemed to be what I took away from at least why many of the Gedolim of yesteryear were not checking for many of these things. That being said, if we know that certain things are infested and we're being told that they're infested, so there are certain guidelines that we should try as best as we can to either avoid the foods that are muchsak b'tolayim, that we know have a high degree, and we should try to eliminate some of the things within. What I'm trying to present is I think we have to be practical of what we can do and what is like above and beyond. Okay, so for example, strawberries. Rav David Feinstein said that strawberries, he recommends that you just cut off the green and the white, and then you look at it. If you don't see anything, so then you're okay. Other agencies would say that there are the inside of the strawberries teeming. Again, maybe you have to slice it in the middle and just look at it. But if you don't see it to the naked eye, so then it's okay. There was a Hasidic kashrus expert who has a lab checking for bugs, and he said there's no way to kasher a strawberry unless you peel it. So what I learned from this, exactly. He said you should start with a very large one.
Like you peel a carrot.
Right, you peel it and you literally end up with nothing. You end up with nothing. You end up with nothing. He said you may as well start with a big one because you're going to end up with a very small piece of strawberry to bite into. What I saw is mikatza al katza. There are, from one end of the spectrum to the other end, you could find poskim on all different sides. And it seems to be that in yesteryear, people ate these things. People ate strawberries, ate blueberries, even from the wild, where you can't say DDT is the reason why they ate it. So what I would say is try to find a balance. Try to find something in your own kitchen that works for you. That you know you can do something. You know you're gonna wash and soak, and maybe with let's say strawberries. So cut off the white parts, cut off the green part. That's where the biggest percentage of the tolaim are. Slice it down the middle and look, see if you see anything. Rinse them out. And then some of the charts say you then put it in the vegetable wash, agitate it. Okay, beyond that, do you need to shave down your strawberries? I don't. It's not my type of halacha that I want to encourage people to shaving down their. Again, everyone has to know. I want to say, try to follow what the books say. This is what I kind of gleaned from listening to all these types of conversations. Okay. There was another posek, Rav Duv Devani. Rav Duv Devani, Rav David explained that he basically brings all the shalas for Rav Asher Weiss. He's like Rav Asher Weiss's bugs guy. He's the one that he's go-to guy in bugs. Rav Duv Devani was talking about strawberries. Again, he's the one who said cut the green top and the white top off the fruit, put the strawberries in cold ice water with a fruit soap, a vegetable wash and agitate the water for 2 to 3 minutes, and this will clean them. That's all you have to do. Again, I think that's we could do that. We could cut the white and the green part off. We could put it in a bucket, a cold water, a bowl, put some vegetable wash, 2-3 minutes. I feel like that's practical. I don't want to ask people to do something that is not going to be observed at all. Okay? I want to now talk about triple wash lettuce because I think this is a really interesting topic that comes up a lot. You go into your store, go into your shop, right? Do you have to buy bodeg? Right? Do I have to buy the stuff that says it's like 3 times the price to buy the bodeg brand? Or can I buy Dole says triple wash? So first of all, you remember last week's year, there was a really interesting discussion of whether or not we are able to be somech, to trust a non-Jewish person's washing. There's last week's year, it seemed to imply that we would not trust that. But the kashrus agencies have tried the triple wash process. They've gone into the dole factories, so they give the hashgacha for many of these lettuces, and they basically, Rav Duv Devani said as follows. I want to make sure I don't want to misquote. He said, Rav Devani said he checked such facilities, and the results are really good. He said there can be different results in different vegetables. That's true, but he said the biggest thing he wanted to say. This is, I think, a very big takeaway. The biggest thing he said is one of the largest areas for problems takes place not in the triple washing. The triple washing takes place in the plants wherever they originally washed lettuce. One of the biggest problems happens in the hotels or in the restaurants. Because what are the storage conditions in the restaurant you're eating? What's the storage conditions of the hotel kitchen where they're preparing the food? So while it could be that the triple wash lettuce that you would buy and then stick in the plastic bag right into your fridge, or the Duv Devani said, that is really, really solid. That you can really rely on for most of your checking. Maybe just do a cursory check if it is triple wash, just to be one extra rinse at home with a glance, make sure there's nothing near leinayim. But in the restaurants and in any place where you're buying it, one step removed, you really have to make sure they're being stored in really clean conditions. Anytime they're kept in a fridge with not proper sealing and not proper temperatures and just not a cleanly environment, a lot of bugs can be reintroduced. So even if they say they use what?
They said you don't want to eat it anyway.
Right. But you can't rely on Dole's triple wash if there was room at some point in the process. I thought that was a very astute point. If there's another way for the bugs to be reintroduced into the situation, okay?
That thing in the supermarket, like let's say they take out the lettuce and they put it in like the refrigerated section and open. That's what we're worried about.
In whatever the supermarkets, the restaurants, wherever they store it, the kitchens that anytime it's not an airtight sealed bag, we're afraid of what are the conditions. Dole can only say take achrayas for what they did in their plant, but how is it taken care of since it left the plant?
We don't say like with other things where since the American legal standards are to a certain point that they have to keep everything fresh to a certain standard, that we expect that they're keeping to those standards.
I think the USDA is only inspecting the produce when it's leaving the plants. I can't imagine they're going into I'm not going to name rest and checking the fridges and making sure.
No, they check in New York City and check. They come into restaurants, they check.
The health department checks.
Health department checks like
In
crazy.
New York City, the health department.
Again, Rav Duv Devani said.
Example, if you have
in the hotel kitchens, they're coming in daily.
Your refrigerators, one very, very big thing is they check refrigerators to make sure it's the right temperature.
Right. He said all this. That's what he's saying. He said a lot of problems come when the kitchens are not keeping up to code and they're not doing what they need to be doing. After it's left the plant, they purchased the Dole triple wash. They said we bought Dole triple wash, and he's saying Dole triple wash technically should be 98% of the stuff should be taken care of. But he said a lot of problems still can be introduced after that. So I think for the private consumer, Dole triple wash, according to Devani, is pretty good. You still maybe want to do soak it for a little. Again, follow the rules on various approved reputable kashrus agencies. There are also differences between romaine lettuce is known to be heavily infested. Mescaline is known to be a little better. Iceberg is known to be even better. So I'd say the iceberg lettuce, I'm less concerned. If it's triple wash, then you have a good chance that you're good to go with that triple wash. With the romaine, I did hear a story quoted that Rav Kamenetsky, his granddaughter, said he only allowed romaine lettuce for Pesach. He said that Rav Kamenetsky felt it was too hard. They spent all Erev Pesach checking the romaine. It was just too hard. It's just muchzak b'talayim. There's too many bugs. He would only allow it in his house for Pesach, not the rest of the year. So again, there are different approaches to this. If you can eat more iceberg lettuce, less romaine, I think that's a good idea. I've noticed a lot of like the places with open salad bars, the RCBC gives hashgacha, use mescaline. You don't see romaine. Again, I think recently there was some sort of bacteria warning in the last couple of months, but you're seeing less and less romaine in the reputable sources. He also did say, and I'm just repeating what I heard from Rav Devani, that he doesn't think you're required for the frozen bodeg stuff. He feels that Green Giant or whatever, a generic, frozen vegetable with an OU or some, hashgacha, that just makes sure there's nothing treif in it. He doesn't think you have to pay the exorbitant amount for the bodeg. So the bodeg might strive to be machmer, sheba machmer, to get to what they're attempting at 100%. He said that the regular Green Giants, frozen vegetables, they're getting 98, 99%, and they also have incredibly high standards. He said what bodeg is doing is a chumrah sheba chumrah. So where it's appropriate, again, you have to look at the charts. I'm not here to go through each individual item, but Rav Devani said that he doesn't think you're required to pay 3 times the price for the frozen bodeg. You can get the frozen Green Giant and then do what they say. Okay. One other thing I want to talk about that I think to me was something I wasn't so clear about. I'm even more confused, but I just want to talk about it. Is the idea of a chazaka check. Right? There is definitely the mashgichim talked about, and we'll kind of end with this. I think is Rav Devani talked about mashgichim yesteryear would make minimum wage and spend hours and hours checking each individual leaf. If you look at the OU, I think it was OU's policy, but again, I looked at so many of these manuals, I forget who it was. Now they do rely on chazaka check. So if you saw in the Ramah says you're not supposed to rely on checking, a portion. You have to check them all. The Ramah was machmir. You really have to check every leaf. But it's just not practical. Like Hannah was telling me before with the broccoli, right? Sometimes it's just not practical to check every single leaf. So there is a concept of a chazaka check where I'm going to The way the Darchei and the CRC describe the chazaka check is basically you're going to soak the entire vegetable in water. You're going to, depending on what the item is, maybe remove the outer layer, like an onion, maybe a romaine lettuce head. You're going to soak it all in water. You're going to leave it there for a few minutes. Then you're going to take the water and run it through some sort of thrift cloth or some sort of shmata method, where basically you pour the water through and you sift it out and see if you see any bugs. Cheesecloth. You see if you see any bugs, and you do that. If you see bugs, then you do it again until you get out all the bugs, and then after that point, you just do a chazaka check, which is basically this is what the restaurants do, and then they just check 3 separate batches of leaves, and if they find those 3 leaves didn't have, you can assume the whole item doesn't have it. I think again, my advice is you really have to know what's capable. If you're doing nothing, so better do a chazaka check. That's what the kashrus agencies are relying on, the chazaka checks, because the mashgichim cannot spend all day literally checking every leaf. So if you're not having a lot, you're just having a salad for yourself or for your immediate family, and it's not so hard to check every leaf. So better to check every leaf. But again, I feel like we're just trying to take a step in the direction of doing better than what we used to do. So my advice is really to look at the charts. See what you think is practical for you. I don't think the expectation is that we're going to spend our entire day checking the leaves. If you look at yesteryear, many poskim ate strawberries. Do something. Cut off the tops. If romaine lettuce is known to be muchzak, don't eat romaine lettuce. Eat iceberg lettuce. Eat mesclun. There are tikkunim we can do in our lives to be a little bit better. And if you're not ready to accept all the chumras, so at least try to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. Okay, so I just want to refer everyone to look at the charts. There's so many different charts. You can see which vegetables are more problematic, less problematic, and hopefully if you have any individual questions, you'll come seek me out privately. Okay, we'll stop here.